2 of them had fractured skulls. 2 more had major chest fractures. I think the report said that the fractures were so intense that it was almost like they got hit by a car. It wasn't like somebody just pushed somebody or they punched somebody. It was like a really intense chest fracture. 1 hiker was missing her tongue and her lips. 1 of them were missing their eyes. Another one was missing their eyebrows.
Just their eyebrows?
Huh. Yeah, but that one is
what a dick move.
What a dick move. So you know what? I'm just gonna take your eyebrows. I think I like those the best.
Boy, whoever did this was a real jerk. Well, does that mean like the skin and surrounding hair around the eyebrows was taken, or they just literally shaved the hair off the eyebrow? Like,
no, it was like ripped off.
Oh, okay, that's a little. Okay, yeah, it's not as funny.
Yeah.
It's a little more gnarly.
Yeah.
Some dark shit.
It's a little bit more strange, and I think we'll get a little more into the strange mutilations that happen to humans and cattle, some other stories, which mostly have to do with UFO stuff. But I'll keep going, and you guys just interject. So 6 of the skiers died of hypothermia. 3 died of injuries. They all died separately. 2 of them were found under a cedar tree near the remains of the fire, while 3 others were found in intervals of hundreds of feet from the tree. And 4 more were in a ravine another 250 feet away. The 2 under the tree had burned hands. The 4 in the ravine weren't found until May 4th, 3 months after the incident. The dead seem to have donated some of their clothing, items to the living. So some of the people that died earlier, the people that were alive still kind of ripped the clothes off of them, tried to bandage up their feet because they were running in the snow, and just use some of their clothing to stay alive.
Huh. So they couldn't get back to the campsite and get dressed with their own gear for some reason.
Right. And it looks like from the report that 2 people tried to go back to the tent, but then were like crushed. Those were the ones with the skull damage.
Huh.
Trying to get back to the tent.
That's interesting. So they tried to go back and something was keeping away. That gives more like credence to something physically there stopping them, whether it's the military or Bigfoot.
So consistently, there were 8 or 9 sets of footprints in the snow, accounting only for the skiers and not suggesting another party's involvement. There was no sign of a struggle or any other human or animal approaching the campsite. None. I couldn't find any. You know, it took them a while to find. I mean, they got to the campsite. They went missing like February 16th. They sent a search party on the February 20th. So there could have been some light snow dusting, but you would have seen like blood and an evidence of something happening. But none of that they couldn't find anything.
Especially interesting with those like crushing injuries that there was no blood or anything either. I mean, I guess there was no punctures, but still.
Yeah, just
that's some heavy fucking trauma going on there.
Okay, so just to reiterate what I said before, one of the investigators compared the force required to injure a human so severe that it was they were in a car crash. The injuries were absolutely not caused by force exerted by another human being. Once again, no soft tissue damage was observed, although the bodies were crushed by pressure.
That's very UFO-y.
It was strange that one of them was missing their tongue.
Yeah, that's very Bigfooty. Like, why would they take the tongue? It feels like a thing.
And the eyeballs. Like, we'll put these pictures on our site. Like, people's eyeballs are carved out. Like, that's not some fucking windstorm.
Is someone muddying the water? Like, what's happening there? Is this supposed to be confusing? Is that what's going on here? These people were purposely mutilated to really throw off the fucking scent? Because what did it happen? There was a press conference, and I remember the official release was like it was some sort of government experiment is really what ended up being in the end. And it makes sense if they're trying to cover it up, they'd muddy the waters. Because, I mean, what do we really know? Like, the UFO angle, they have one shot of lights in the sky. You know, we don't know. There's one picture of a Bigfoot, but it's probably just a guy in a coat. Like, because you can see a track leading out to the woods. He's probably just taking a leak. Yeah.
That famous photo of that, the dark figure that's, in amongst the trees there.
Yeah.
It looks like a human. Like, it looks like a person. It's not, like, overly, like, big or lumbering, monstrous kind of Bigfooty thing. It just looks like a person. But still, it's like this really ominous looking figure standing in the darkness beyond the trees, and it's just like a really odd photo to take.
All right, that was photo 17, and photo 16, it's a guy close up bending over with a hooded jacket in all dark clothing. So it's the photo
really?
right before that one. If that guy stood up in the distance with bad lighting, it would look exactly like that.
That would be it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I'm not trying to say Bigfoot's not involved in this, because the snowman quote is super compelling. There was a lot of Bigfoot stuff and weird. There was some Bigfoot quotes that got taken out of context after the fact that probably should be discounted, and the photo probably should be discounted. I'm not saying that Bigfoot didn't happen, because the infrasound connection is interesting, but that picture to me, like, as someone who wants to believe so badly and will definitely give the benefit of the doubt every time, that photo to me just doesn't get me excited.
Oh, I didn't think you would say that.
I'm disappointed in myself.
Well, shit, now we got nothing.
Yeah,
now
all right, we're done.
about?
Sorry, this is a short podcast.
Oh, no, I got something awesome in a second. I got an awesome theory that you got to go deep for that was really cool. Can I just read you guys something quick before you keep going that I thought was interesting about this area?
Yeah, go for it.
So this is what this area is really freaky. It has a lot of ancient and sacred sites, and these indigenous people have been there a long time. So I'm not going to try to say any of the mountains like you tried to, Melissa. I could never guess to pronounce anything.
Also, I'm going to be the only dumbass. Thanks a lot, man.
Don't worry, I've embarrassed myself many times in this podcast. So Mount, not going to pronounce it, is called Don't Go There, because these mountains, especially the gates between them, are considered sacred and dangerous since ancient times. They're guarded by spirits and have no business going there, especially if you are a woman. So it's a sexist, misogynist area of the world. The name of the one mountain that appears on many photos taken by the Dyatlov group is, I'm not going to try to pronounce it, H-O... something, which means it's Russian or it's Manzi, whatever the hell it is. It means no women allowed. It's a boys' club only. So it was, really,
I wonder
really
if that's why they cut her tongue out.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. So the women in the group were the ones who were mutilated?
Well, there was the one man, the one boy his eyes were carved out, but
okay.
But the woman's tongue was taken. It's like as if there's no voices of women allowed, like just.
Oh, that's so fucking metaphorically interesting. Yeah. Wow.
So perhaps the most baffling thing of this whole thing, and we'll go through the theories of what might have happened to these people because there's a lot of them besides the wind tunnel thing. So all of the skiers' clothing was found to contain significant levels of radiation, which in my opinion is very UFO-y. That's like the number one thing that happens to each person who comes in contact with a UFO is they test high for radiation. Also, 50 miles away, there was another group of campers who noticed in the sky that same night orange spheres. That night that the incident happened.
Okay.
So that's a little weird. And of course, the government said, "Oh no, we were doing missile testing," but missiles look a little bit different than orange spheres.
Yeah.
So also a 12-year-old eyewitness who attended 5 of the skiers' funerals claimed that the bodies had a deep brown tan.
Oh, Didn't a couple of them had burns too, right?
So a couple of them had burned hands, but their skin was like a really deep brown tan, like they went to Bermuda and they weren't in Russia.
Which again is a common trait of getting bathed in radiation from these UFOs is quite often happens,
Well, what if they started feeling burny, they started feeling intense, and they had to get out of the tent, and that last picture they took is of blurry lights, and they ran. So they were getting burned in the tent, maybe they took off, and those lights were the orbs that those people were talking about.
I have some other things, but why don't you tell us about this crazy mythology?
I went deep diving in some of these websites, and I found something pretty cool that I thought was different and not being talked about enough, and it's kind of very Indiana Jonesy in a way, but I'll break it down right after the break.
All right, Josh, tell us this weird mythology.
All right, so this is a cool angle that's kind of like Indiana Jones. I liked it, and it's definitely something that's not talked about a lot, but really cool. Probably doesn't have a lot of credence to it, but it's backed by an awesome legend. All right, so according to one theory, they went out there to find the Zolotaya Baba, or the Golden Woman. So for now on, the rest of this conversation, I'm going to call it the Golden Woman to avoid saying that again. So, what is the Golden Woman?
That's super funny that like they're looking for the Golden Woman, but no women are allowed in this pass. Okay, go.
Yeah, that's what it's a contradiction. Or maybe that's the point. I don't know. My brain hurts. Okay, so I'll explain what this is in a second, but I'm just going to kind of read and paraphrase from this website, Dyatlov.com. I found this deep in there, and I thought it was interesting. So I'll explain what the Golden Woman is in a second, but some backstory. So at least one of the members had allegedly said this as part of their agenda, and it was a character, the mysterious Zolotaryar. I think he was the oldest one. So before the expedition, he made a strange statement that after he gets back from the trek, the whole world will speak about this expedition. So perhaps it was he was talking about the Golden Woman. So what is this? The Golden Woman is a statue of an elderly woman with a baby in her lap, made of gold, weighing approximately 7.5 kilograms, 16.5 pounds. Inside the statue is a figurine of another male infant, a grandson, which is illuminated by an unknown light source. The Golden Woman is the legendary idol worshipped by the peoples of the North. So apparently this is like a technology that has not been discovered by modern mankind, that's transmitted to the northern peoples by people of a vanished civilization. So it's very Graham Hancocky. According to the legend of the Golden Woman, can predict the future. During World War II, the Germans hunted for this object, this artifact, but to no avail. According to researchers, the Dyatlov group was supposed to track down the Golden Woman, take it from the Mansi of the indigenous people of the area who maybe had it. They were supposed to take it from them, but what happened was they were supposed to deliver it to Soviet authorities. They were supposed to deliver it to the government. But the Mansi figured out what the hikers were up to and brutally dealt with them and killed them in crazy ways, which is, it's hard to prove this, but I think it's a really interesting theory. So because they directly saw the Golden Woman or touched it, the Mansi didn't like that, apparently. Besides the broken ribs and a caved-in skull, 2 of the people had their eyes gouged out, as you said, and one had their tongue ripped out. In favor of this version, there are also numerous scrapes of clothing found under the cedar that could be used for ritual purposes. So what they're getting at there in that poorly written sentence is that these bizarre injuries that they had were all part of a ritual to kill them, because they came to find this golden statue where they weren't supposed to, and they brought women, which is no bueno, up in the Russian mountains. I thought that was a really cool side folklore story that has almost zero evidence to back it up.
You know what else is really weird about that is that if they were taking all these pictures, they documented everything, and they saw the Golden Woman. Wouldn't they try to take a picture of it?
Or those pictures were destroyed.
Maybe. Possibly.
Yeah.
But then what about all the strange injuries? Like, I mean, the Mansi they're just they're humans. Like, and they ruled out that any of the injuries could have been human, because of the way that the blunt force that was used, that could not be delivered by a human. So,
it reminds me of a lot of the stuff David Paulides talks about, where he kind of goes into the naming of places, how usually it's like Devil's Peak or Devil's Mountain or Hell Gate, or, there's always like these really negative names for these places. And there's usually a pretty good reason for that. It's usually ancient people not ancient people, but, people who came there and settled in that area gave these names to these places for a reason. It wasn't like it was like the meadow of beer and Skittles. It was like
right. Butterflies,
Death Valley or something,
and slow motion high fives. Yeah. So, that's really weird, actually. Yeah,
slow motion high fives. I love that area. I vacation there often.
It's so good.
I would go to Skittles. Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. And those names are ancient, right? I mean, no one really knows who named the mountains. They just keep it up. They're like, oh, it's just called Death Valley, and we don't know who named it. We'll just keep it that way.
Yeah, right. It's more of a warning than a name,
Yeah. Oh, interesting. I like that you said that. We just kind of like, whatever. The people from a long time ago, they're so cute naming it something like that. It's really hot there. People died, but no, there's more to it. We got to listen to the indigenous folks a little bit more.
The Mountain of the Dead. I like that picture though. Like, everybody tries to climb this mountain to get to the Golden Woman, and they all perish. They're all like taken out by some supernatural force, just like Indiana Jones. Like,
it's a movie. Yeah. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm telling you, we got to remake this movie.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So, do you have anything about mutilations, Matt?
I sure do. Look, I went down these specific mutilations, the missing eyes, the tongue being ripped out. It bears a lot of similarities to a lot of abduction stories. And I just read something recently when we said we're doing the Dyatlov Pass, and I was kind of familiarizing myself again with that whole story. And a lot of the stuff kind of jumped out at me from a story I'd read. And again, it bears a lot of similarities to a lot of abduction stories, particularly involving people getting mutilated after disappearing for a while. So I